Throughout its history, America has been shaped by many events and people. However, often overlooked are the great men and women who influenced America in the field of athletics. The 1940s through 70s were a time of international turmoil. Although chaos surrounded the United States, the American athletes shed light on social issues and induced cultural change in America.
In Europe and Asia, the Second World War was quickly growing and the body counts were reaching the millions. Hitler and Nazi Germany were in charge of a global domination in the form of the Holocaust, which forced mass deaths, fleeing, and lasting impacts on the Jewish race. This anti Semitism followed the Jews to America, where many began to blame their life issues and failures on the Jews. Hank Greenberg was the son of Orthodox Jewish immigrants and victims of anti Semitism in Europe. As a lanky and awkward 19-year-old, Greenberg signed a contract with the Detroit Tigers. Soon to be known as the Hebrew Hammer, Greenberg became the first Jewish superstar in professional sports. Little did he know he would live to change baseball and the world around him. Some of the harassment Greenberg faced was not verbal nor physical, but purely mental. Pitchers began to avoid the slugger as he approached records set by legends, as they did not want a Jew to go down in the history books. Despite the challenges, Greenberg overcame adversity and was still a four-time All-Star and two-time MVP, earning him his membership in the Hall of Fame. Greenberg voluntarily served in the U.S. Army during World War II, interrupting one of his best seasons. In Greenberg's mind, he was standing up for Jews and fighting against Hitler on and off the field. Greenberg's actions both on the home front and abroad pushed cultural change and proved to the American people that a Jewish man was equally capable at performing. In 1934, Greenberg attracted national attention when he refused to play on Yom Kippur, the holiest holiday in Judaism, even though the Tigers were in the middle of a pennant race. Often faced with anti-Semitic slurs while on the field, Greenberg connected with the local Jewish fans and shifted the social trends towards a more integrated fan base. Greenberg's decision influenced future greats such as Sandy Koufax, who followed in Hank's footsteps by choosing not to play in Game 1 of the 1965 World Series due to Yom Kippur. He even influenced the Supreme Court as they banned oral arguments on the holy day. Today, we see Greenberg's legacy continue as we see more Jews in baseball, such as the former MVP Ryan Braun. Greenberg was one of the most influential figures in Jackie Robinson's career, as they both faced severe oppression and talked multiple times about facing opponents that threatened them. This was very impactful, as no other player had ever reached out to help Robinson, the first Negro player. This was the beginning of a drastic change both in baseball and society.
After the Civil War ended in 1865, slaves finally gained freedom from their lives as plantation workers. However, following a failed period of Reconstruction, the black population in America continued to live through a century of discrimination until a civil rights movement led by Martin Luther King erupted in the 1950s and caused unprecedented political and social change in America. Growing up in the extremely racist town of Pasadena, California, exposed Jackie to the harshest places for black people to live and gave him a taste as to how poorly people like him were being treated. Around him, nonviolent protests were making their mark on the civil rights movement, which led him to use similar strategies when it came to breaking baseball's color barrier.
Robinson faced extreme discrimination and harassment both on and off the field from opposing players and fans. Robinson fought through these difficult times by remaining calm and collected, setting a precedent to Martin Luther King's civil disobedience. This shocked the world and began to shift societal views towards colored people, as Robinson was expected to fight back and not be able to handle the pressure. For decades, baseball had been the center of American society, treated as importantly as a religion. By breaking the color barrier in America's most beloved sport, Jackie single-handedly forced one of the biggest cultural and societal movements in history. If Jackie did not step up for both the black race and the game of baseball, today we might still have a Negro League.
Robinson endured a career no player would ever ask for. Players tried to hurt Jackie both physically and emotionally. Despite these challenges, Robinson won the first ever awarded Rookie of the Year, quickly followed by an MVP award only 2 years later. Jackie's 6 All-Star selections paired with his tremendous courage and bravery made his induction into the Hall of Fame an easy decision. Jackie Robinson's incredible career proved to the world that black people were equally talented as white people and they should be treated that way. For this reason, the door had been opened for future greats such as the home run king Barry Bonds and Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Jr. Also, Jackie's impact on America accelerated the civil rights movement and set precedent to other influential athletes such as Muhammad Ali. Born just before the heart of the civil rights movement, Cassius Clay, formerly known as Muhammad Ali, grew up witnessing the massive amounts of prejudice in black communities. As a child, he took up boxing in order to help protect himself from his dangerous neighborhood, But soon his form of protection turned into his profession. As his fame grew, so did his involvement in the civil rights movement. Muhammad Ali first made a name for himself in 1964 when he knocked out Charles Liston in one of the biggest upsets in boxing history, putting his name in the mouths of boxing fans worldwide. As his popularity grew, he continued to preach against discrimination, which spread throughout the country, further propelling the civil rights movement. Ali is well regarded as one of the greatest boxers in history, which gives reason for his huge impact on the American public. Just as Ali was showing off his true potential as a pro boxer, he told the world he was joining forces with the Nation of Islam, a prominent civil rights group at the time, in hopes of furthering his message of equality in America. Coming from a man respected for his incredible athletic ability, he captured the minds of thousands of Americans and turned them into advocates for civil rights. At the pinnacle of his career, Muhammad Ali was drafted to the Vietnam War, where thousands of Americans had already lost their lives. Boldly, Ali refused to serve, citing religious reasons and stating he did not support a government that supported racism. He was banned from fighting, but continued his battle against the U.S. government for civil rights and against the war. Although Muhammad Ali is long retired, his legacy will never be forgotten. The children he impacted half a century ago are now raising their own children under the values and morals that he transferred to the world as a boxer. Although his fight is coming to an end, a new wave of superstar athletes are rising up and spreading their own messages about social issues and civil rights. During a time of tumult, the American people looked to their role models for security and guidance. While many athletes continued to play their respective sports, Hank Greenberg, Jackie Robinson, and Muhammad Ali took massive risks to express their views on social issues and took great steps in an attempt to propel the civil rights movement and inflict cultural change in America.